All right. Good evening, everyone. I hope everybody had an exciting Amazon Prime Day here in the United States. Hashtag capitalism. Thank you all for coming. My name is Todd Browse. I'm your host for the evening. I'm here with Susan Schultz and Ashley Wilson, and we would like to welcome everyone to HBAP Startups. So let's get started. For those of you who are new to the Startups group, we have a few announcements at the beginning of each meeting, and we'll do some short networking breakout rooms, and then we'll come back together for our main event. First off is our mission. We're here to help foster and fortify an innovation and entrepreneur community coming out of the Harvard Business Analytics program. Our goal is to provide our members with the tools, knowledge, leadership, and confidence necessary to create and grow their businesses from the ground up. Susan.
So, of course, there are a bunch of ways to get and stay in touch with us. So it's our website, the HBAP website. We have a YouTube channel where, as long as we have the speaker's permission, we post their presentations there. There's a newsletter. So please put your name on the newsletter. If you haven't yet, you'll get reminders. We have a Slack channel if you are or have been in HBAP. And then, of course, this is not limited to HBAPers. Please bring a friend that you think would love being part of this group. We'd love to have them. And then just a reminder that the recordings will be posted publicly unless the presenter says otherwise. And then we've got some continuing roster of some cool speakers. So next week we have Pedro Espinoza, our own HBAPer, who is going to be talking about his brand new book, which is the real ROI, the return on inclusion. And he's really going to talk about why DEI is so important to business performance, which should be really interesting given all of the headlines and the dynamic conversations that are happening in businesses these days around DEI. And then we have July 31st, Andy Greenewald, who's a serial entrepreneur and has been involved in startup and ventures for more than 20 years. And I love his tagline in LinkedIn. It says, turning data into better decisions every day. So he's now the CEO of StoryHub, and his company uses data to deepen the conversations that we have with our customers through the use of stories. And then we have a small break through August, and then back in September, we're lining up several speakers, but so far we have, starting with our own Todd, continuing the conversations about Gen AI and doing discussions about agents because we all want to learn more about what are they, how to use them, all of those kinds of questions. And then on the 18th, we have Doug Levin. I think you all know who he is. He was one of the leaders of Startup Academy. He's been one of the judges in the pitch competition. He has a very, very cool podcast of sorts, an email that he talks about startups, and he's going to be coming to talk to us about his experience, especially focused on AI startups. So in the spirit of what we're trying to do here with having this inclusive environment where everybody can come and learn and listen and also present and discuss and think about different points of view, our code of conduct is to create that space for everyone of collaboration and confidentiality. So as discussed, all rights are reserved by the presenter. They get to decide whether we post their recording, and then we all abide by our honor code and the feedback by Francis Fry, modified by our own rules, which is just give positive feedback, deliver your questions in a positive way. That's the best way to engage with the presenter and the speaker. And then a final reminder, no personal recordings of our sessions. We want to honor the presenter's requirements. And then, of course, two things. If you're interested in speaking or interested in presenting your pitch or anything like that, let us know. And then if there's something you want to talk about, like concerns about confidentiality or anything like that, just reach out to Todd and me and Ashley, and we will help you figure that all out.
Awesome. Thanks, Susan. All right, let's do some social networking breakout rooms. I think I got it working. I will see you all in a little while. If you're not in a room, you're staying with me. And everyone should be joining in a second. All right. And welcome back, everyone. Thank you all for your little breakout rooms. I hope you had fun. Thanks for coming. Just as a little reminder, the D-Cubed AI Lab is looking for some mentors. So if you are interested, please fill out this form, and maybe they'll select it. I need to do that. Shoot. All right. So just one last announcement. But at the end of the night, when you exit Zoom, please fill out the survey. We are data people. We love data, so that really helps us. Again, this is a reminder, the recording tonight will be made public on our YouTube channel, but at the end of Nitzan's presentation, please stick around for some overtime that we will end recording and hang out for quite a while. Okay, so it is my honor to introduce tonight's guest speaker, Nitzan Shaer. Nitzan is the CEO and co-founder of WEVO.ai, a user research platform that leverages generative artificial intelligence to deliver reliable insights in a fraction of the time that traditional tools and techniques require. WEVO represents his continuous fascination with what drives the decision-making process, and this is Nitzan's fourth startup as either a co-founder or an early team member. Before co-founding WEVO, Nitzan served as head of the mobile phones product group at Skype, where he collaborated with a diverse range of customers from over 150 countries. This role highlighted the challenges of designing experiences across diverse cultures and inspired him to build a platform that would provide insights to serve the unique needs of people from different backgrounds. At WEVO, Nitzan and his team have developed a platform that reduces the time required for user research from 50 hours down to 30 minutes. WEVO provides statistically significant insights that designers, marketers, and product owners can rely on for their solution development. Dreaming big, listening more, and moving fast are Nitzan's guiding principles to life and work. He believes that the most rewarding aspect of being an entrepreneur is the opportunity to make a significant impact in the world. Now, without further ado, as is our custom here at HBAP Startups, if we could all please briefly unmute ourselves, and let's give a warm round of applause to Nitzan Shaer. Nitzan.
Todd, thank you very much for that very kind introduction. And Susan, Todd, thank you for having me today on this beautiful summer evening. Very excited to be here. I'm also happy to have a group that isn't too big, hundreds of people that we could actually have a conversation tonight. So please, I am very much looking forward to learning from you tonight. AI is moving so fast and there's so much to learn, and no matter how much I feel I read about it daily, there is still more to discover. So very much looking forward to a conversation tonight. And we're going to make it interactive as well. We're going to do a case study together tonight. Todd had asked me to start with a little bit of background. Hard to follow that introduction. My mother would have actually believed everything you just said.
But it's recorded. It's recorded.
And it's recorded. That's it. It's done. It's on YouTube. That means it's true. So thank you so much for that. Greatly appreciated. I will just add, as sometime talking of my mother, sometime when I was young, I was evidently hit slightly on the head that caused me to continuously go back to startups and start new companies. This being the fourth either that I joined very early or co-founded. But there's something about that thrill of working with a team to create something that didn't exist before, knowing that the odds are all against you. I think startup success rate is less than 5%, depending who counts it. But it is ridiculously low. So we're at any most given moments we are fighting to survive and to find something that we can develop, some idea that we have, and deliver it to a customer that actually is interested in paying for it, that actually delivers real value. And that elusive product market fit is what we're seeking. And if only customers would be stable in their demands, but there's continuous change. So a word of background on some of the previous ones, or start off saying I live in just outside of Boston, Massachusetts. Have been living here on and off for 20 years, sometime in London for a few years when I joined Skype early on, sometime in Seattle when I was working at Microsoft. Did not start Microsoft, but joined that company when it was very big already, to start new products within Microsoft, which was a lot of fun. And then decided to stay in Boston. My wife is in academia, I'm in tech, so it's a nice combination from that perspective. And with a little bit more of global warming, we will actually have vineyards and palm trees here in a few years, hopefully. So with that, transitioning for this evening, I wanted to discuss the topic of how AI is impacting digital customer experiences. And let me put out the premise or the idea that AI is going to, yet another industry, dramatically transform the way we create, evaluate, and improve digital experiences. And I don't want you to trust me on that one. I want you tonight to actually experience it for yourself. So part of our discussion tonight is going to be an experience that I'd like each of you to have personally. And then to the extent you're willing, and we did this at a conference that Todd and Susan were in just a few weeks ago over at the Harvard Business School campus on AI. We did this exercise there with the wonderful Professor Ayelet Israeli that was hosting us. And I will try and mimic part of that, though I'm not half as good as she is at hosting these sessions. But we'll do a joint exercise and ask you to share your insights about what you think about it. Is it, in your opinion, truly transformational, or is it just a little bit more of the same that we had before with fancy names now? But we will let you be the judge of that. So with that and further ado, and again, please feel free to jump in at any point with questions. And we will start with some slides, just the background, and show a few things, and then we'll jump right into it. So enhancing customer experiences with AI. And I should say in advance, I'm the CEO, currently the CEO of WEVO. I started WEVO about 7 years ago and have an amazing team that's mainly based in Boston, but spread around the country. And that tool that we're going to experiment with tonight is WEVO tool. But I'm not going to ask you to, you don't have to put in your own email. This is for your experimentation, just because it's the coolest tool I know of to experiment on evaluating user experiences. So before we begin, yes, yet another conversation about AI transforming the world. Appreciate the time you're spending together, and we hope this experience is going to leave you with something new. And I'm very much looking forward to learning as well something new tonight. If you walk away today with only two things, one, I hope it is the idea that AI is fundamentally changing the process for creating, enhancing digital experiences. And two, that you have access to those tools today. It's not something that is in the science fiction realm, and it is not something that you need to pay thousands of dollars to. You have access to many of these tools right now, and we'll touch on them. Just before we get started or go any further, would love to do just a show of hands, so either a virtual like thumbs up thing or just hands up. Who here is currently involved in either designing digital experiences, creating digital experiences, or coding digital experiences? Yes, Todd does all three of those. Anybody involved in that currently? Yes? Okay, very good. I think we got at least half plus. Very good. So for those that are involved, this will be something hopefully that you can take away with. And for those not, this will be a really cool experience and insight into that world. But just a little bit of background on when we talk about digital experiences. People say on average it takes them anywhere from 2 to 6 months of a process to enhance and optimize digital experiences. Usually that involves things like A/B testing, user studies, interviews, surveys to get feedback on a digital experience. A digital experience can be a mobile app. It can be a shopping cart experience online. It could be a website of the government where you sign up for a healthcare plan or any other digital experience. As a matter of fact, if you think of globally digital experiences these days, $9 trillion every year transfer hands online. It's like really big right now. And it's just growing bigger. But unfortunately, only a very, very small fraction of that is actually optimized. And it's beyond the websites that my mother asks me for help to get through. It's actually for all of us. There are many experiences that are frustrating and many that like, why didn't they do this better? Or why isn't the information I need there? And why isn't it customized to my needs? And it results in reduced acquisition, higher churn rates for companies, and so many products that fail because they just weren't good enough. So with that as background, I'd like to enter us on the case study for tonight. And in this case study, I'd like you to imagine that you have a company that sells something online or tries to convince people or explain to people what your product is online. Let's assume your name for this case is Julie. Julie was watching the dark clouds. This is how cases in Harvard Business School typically start. Julie was watching dark clouds from outside of her corporate office window on the 52nd floor. On her desk was a report showing that the digital customer acquisition costs were skyrocketing. Customers no longer found the company's digital offering compelling. Why was this happening? In front of her was a proposal from a large consulting firm offering a 2-month timeline to diagnose the problem and do a series of user studies at the bargain price of $1 million. By the way, $1 million is a common price. I know that because I talk to these companies all the time. And that is a common price for a 2-month project to evaluate your online experience. For anybody that wants to, I won't even mention the companies. It's the large consulting firms that you know of. Last week, Julie attended a Zoom talk. That's a reference to this talk this evening. And she heard that AI can now identify many of the challenges people encounter in a digital experience. She is contemplating if to look at what the AI has to say or simply move forward with the proposal. Make sense until now? Okay, we're together. Okay. I would like you now to choose a website, any website, website that you shop at, website that you read at, a website of your company, website of a competitor of your company, or a website that you're curious about. Think of a website that is a URL that doesn't require a password to get into the URL that you're thinking of. There are ways to get around that, but for now, we're going to keep it simple. Now I'm going to, then I'm going to ask you to go to this address, WEVO.ai/takeapulse. Best to do it from a laptop. You can do it from mobile, but it's going to be easier for you from a laptop. And when you're there, enter a website and an email. You don't have to enter your own. I'll give you a secret. You don't have to enter your own email. If you do enter your email, you're going to get 6 emails from WEVO. If you don't want to get those emails, don't worry about it. Don't just enter a random email. And it can't be Gmail, by the way. If you want access to that study in the future, you should enter your email. And that way you can log in the future and get access to it. And then once you're in and uploaded and entered the website, you'll be asked about 30 seconds after that, you'll be asked to confirm, is this actually the website you wanted to upload? And that's it. After that, it'll take about 5 minutes to run, and it'll give you an analysis. If the image wasn't right, by the way, or it didn't upload correctly, then go back to step 3. Go back to step 1. Just choose a different website, upload it again. And for full results, we'll be ready in about 5 minutes. Before I go to explain what's happening behind the scenes, which I want to explain to you how this AI is doing stuff. Any questions at this point? Is everybody advancing through this experiment? Okay. Some thumbs up. Okay, good.
Oh,
Okay.
wait, Veronica's got her hand up, so sorry for interrupting. Veronica.
I think it's a thumbs up, but Veronica,
Yeah,
Did you have a
thank you.
question?
I have a question regarding the third step, upload the website. You mentioned that it's not allowed Gmail. Why is that in enter an email?
Yes, it's the way it's set up right now that it doesn't allow Gmails. It's in order that people will put in mails that are actually identifiable, just because Gmails anybody can create, and then it creates a whole lot of havoc. But you could put in any company name, and it's fine. It doesn't have to be a real email. It's a way to get around it.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. Okay, if anybody has problems, put them in the chat, raise your hand, we'll solve them. So in a moment, you're going to see what's happening behind the scenes, and I'll walk you through that. But what is the engine that's driving here? So basically, the results you're about to see are being processed by a large language model, specifically OpenAI's large language model. So not ChatGPT, but the back end of ChatGPT that we connect to through APIs. And we took the OpenAI model and we enhanced it. We enhanced it by a process that is, you probably well know and heard of until now, training it, and training it in a way that it is fine-tuned. So basically, OpenAI now claims to have sort of roughly 73 billion nodes in their network. And we took a layer over there and enhanced it with more information. What information did we use? We've collected over 1 million user study participants, the people that basically gave us feedback on websites. And we understand, they helped us score the websites, tell them what they liked about the websites, what they didn't like about the websites, what they liked about the experience, what they didn't, what would make the experience better for them. And we use that data to train this AI. So the AI has now become really smart in understanding how different people think about their digital experiences. So that's kind of the engine that stands behind this. So again, OpenAI fine-tuned on over 1 million user study participants. So that's what went into that. So with that, let me transition screens over here, and I'll take you into the product. I prepared previously, taking out an oven over here, a website of NASA. This is the NASA homepage. I found the page really cool. You'll see the page on the left over here. And again, I'm reminding you in a moment, I'm going to ask you a few questions to share, but I just want to tell you what you're seeing over here. The first tab, the first thing that you saw as it was loading is the personas. The personas is really important. It's the personas that the system guessed this company is targeting. In this case, it guessed that NASA is targeting Astro Alex, age range, this is personas, right? Age range 18 to 35, a space enthusiast who keeps up to date with the latest space missions. Let me increase the size of this just a little bit so everybody can see it. Pursuing or holding a degree in astronomy or related fields with a strong understanding of scientific terms, appreciates high-quality visual appealing images, and frequents science blogs and forums. Geeky Gina works in STEM fields, enjoys reading about tech, self-proclaimed geek, not highly price sensitive. Edu trainer Emma, who's looking for interactive educational resources for her class. Galaxy Gary, Those are the 4 personas that it guessed. Now, if you're okay with those personas, you just let it run and continue. If you wanted to target somebody else while you're creating this website, not a problem at all. You can hit this button over here, customize this persona, and you can enter in regular English language whatever persona you wanted from anywhere in the world, and the system will do its best to optimize the findings for that persona. Assuming for a moment that persona is the person you are targeting, there are 6 areas that you're going to get feedback on. The first one is like a general summary, executive summary, think about it that way. Customer experience, the visual design employs impactful imagery. I'm not going to read through all of this because each one of you did your own. The offer, visual appeal. These headlines, by the way, slightly change depending on what it is that it looked at. It's going to give you a sentiment map. This is really cool. These are buttons up here, by the way, if you want to understand what people liked in this website. If this was your website and you're looking for compliments or a pat on the back, this is a great place to look because it'll tell you what people liked about it. Or if you're trying to improve it, you want to look at the dislikes. If you click any one of these, it'll show you where it is that there was actually a dislike. People did not like the continuous prompts from more NASA news, or predicted to not like. The intent of Astro Alex and Geeky. So Astro Alex logged onto the NASA website in order to find opportunities for public involvement in astronomy. He wants to participate in asteroid tracking citizen science project. And Geeky Chino visits the NASA website to get updates on the latest space technologies. And EduEmma is searching for interactive educational resources. Then the system will give you actually recommendations on how to improve the website. I won't go through all of these. I want to actually hear the ones that you found. And it'll give you a score on a scale of 60 to 100 of how good this is. Very shortly, in about 3 weeks, it'll also benchmark you to other websites in that industry, so to show you where you are on that benchmark. And finally, a very powerful tool, which is an open chat that allows you to ask any follow-on questions you have. Things like recommended images that I can use, what imagery would be most persuasive, how can I affect change or cause one of these personas to engage more with this topic. Okay, let me stop over there because I'm really interested in hearing your thoughts and your observations. And I'm going to start off with 2 questions. First question is going to up here. First question is going to be, what did you learn about your customer's perspective, or the users of this website's perspective? Which of the recommendations did you find most helpful and which were not helpful? And I'd love to hear your thoughts. Small form. Go ahead, Dawn, please. Thank you for being the first volunteer here.
Sure. Well, actually, I have a question first. Sorry. So I did put in a website for a philanthropic organization, basically to look at how well their message was coming across. And also, obviously, they're trying to solicit development and fundraising. On the free version, it looks like maybe not all of the things that you showed us with the NASA site are available. It looks like I see finding, sentiment, and intent, but the recommendations are not visible. Is that, am I looking at this correctly, or am I missing something?
Could it be that there's a timer under the recommendations and it's still being generated?
Oh, okay, that's what it is. Yeah, the bar. Okay.
Yeah. It could be that a lot of people are using it right now.
Okay.
Typically, it doesn't have 30 people hit it at the same time plus regular usage. Could be that it's taking a little bit longer there. It
Okay,
will
awesome.
show up though.
So what I have seen so far populate was really interesting. I was kind of listening to you and watching your slides and trying to read the assessment of the site that I plugged in. I look forward to seeing the recommendations and the rest of the information when it comes up.
Good. I'm curious, what did you think about the personas as they came up? Was that a good match? And was that helpful, do you think, to this, assuming you're in the shoes of this, the philanthropic organization, do you think that that is who they're targeting? Or something that would be helpful to them?
So I just kind of glanced through two of them quickly. I would say, pretty good. And for this organization, this is a smaller organization that does not have a lot of paid staff. So something like this, I think, would be extremely helpful to them because they just would never have the resources. And honestly, probably not the right skill sets to, provide this kind of analysis, much less affect the changes. So I think this would be very helpful to them.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you, Dawn, for sharing that. Good. I know if anybody else did get recommendations, or for those that didn't get through the recommendations part, if you want to share what, typically this is, again, a very long process. This is now AI doing it on the fly. What did you find helpful in it? What did you not? What are the shortcomings? Did you wish it could do for you that it's not? George?
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Right away, and I plugged in my my very own website for my consultant firm, and I think one of the value added from this particular report is the sentiment and the things that are the likes and the dislikes. For example, one of the things there listed is the use of cookies, and that could be distracting to potential clients. So I'm going to go ahead and look into that. So Nitzan, is there a way to download this as a report for our use?
Coming soon. So currently there's a button at the bottom left that looks like copy. So it's two squares, one next to the other. So you can copy that and paste it into a PowerPoint or a Google Doc. There's also in the top right corner, there's a, still see my screen. This is a share link. So you can just hit that and then paste that, and you can share it with anybody. They'll see the full report, or over here at the bottom, you can click that and then copy this. That'll copy the text that's over here. Soon we'll be downloading all of this to PowerPoint, but hopefully that share link will be helpful.
Thank you.
But thank you for sharing that. Indeed, both the personas is something that that many find, as you said, and mentioned before, something that can take a lot of time to do if you don't have AI. That AI is really shortening that process. And you mentioned the intent and sentiment. Also, AI is very good at that element. So thank you for sharing that. Good. Time for two more before we move on to the other questions. Anybody else want to share at this point? Okay, I'm going to pop up two more questions and we'll
Divya just raised her hand. Sorry. I'll call.
Fantastic. Go ahead.
So I put in actually one of our competitors. So we built out an equity crowdfunding platform, and I just put out my competitor's website to kind of see what it was. Kelly is doing it for my own F5, and I'm doing it for our competitors. We're doing two different things. But I think it is actually pretty spot on the findings from like the personas, I do have to say, right? It gives an overview of the user experience kind of being, it does say there's a lot of content. It can drive people kind of pretty busy. It also gives this, from a findings, it talks about content and offer clarity. So it kind of says, it tries to, push for people try to make investments and pressurizing them to do investments based on the time the campaigns are closing. I thought it really drove in like a lot of different elements. It touched on details because I know, for example, like the website that I put in is Republic, right? Like, so Republic is a pretty big crowdfunding platform in the US, and they do have a lot of partnerships with the larger VC funds when they get some of these companies that are coming on and raising through their platform. So it pointed that out, saying they do have good reputation out there because they have associated themselves with the VCs, right? So it's touched on a lot of different things, which I found really good, that it touched on the perceived notion, what is happening with the website, the display of the website, and then even kind of going into the personas also, I thought was like really nice form. Like it touched on the investors, right? Like the age profile of the investors themselves, of who come to the platform and who they're engaging, to the entrepreneurs that they're that they're trying to target, the types of companies, right? Like, so they talk about like Web3 and AI things. So there's a lot of stuff that I felt it pulled up pretty quickly. I have not had a chance to just finalize the recommendations, but the other pieces, I thought it kind of did a very good analysis of what Republic is. And I do have to go through and actually read the recommendations.
Okay, very good. Thank you for sharing that thoughtful comment and the feedback you found helpful there. Much appreciated. So, Subrata, please.
Yes, so I have question. You already asked a question, but I still have a question over question.
Go
Is
ahead.
that, from the customer perspective, right? We also have, I want to say Google Gemini, right? And also you are bringing this product. Did customer share any experience comparing with Gemini and with your product in terms of I will say how they feel about these two products?
Yeah, so Gemini is a
Because the one thing I want to just want to stop a little bit. The purpose of asking is, how did you choose that this is a minimal viable product for you?
Oh, fantastic. So two great questions over there. One, Gemini versus ChatGPT versus Anthropic, or OpenAI versus Anthropic. There are multiple LLMs on the market right now, and I think it's right now for the tasks we saw that we need to do after evaluating all of those, we saw that OpenAI is the best at performing those tasks. And the way we knew, when we say, whenever you're evaluating an AI, you want to have as accurate a target to measure it, a yardstick to measure it by. Is it a test you wanted to pass, the bar test, or any other test you wanted to perform? And in this case, it's how well is it evaluating user experiences? And the bar we set is how users do, how human beings, users that are in that target audience are performing on that website. So that's what we compared it to, and OpenAI at this point was the best. And then we took the OpenAI and then made it even better by fine-tuning it on data that is specifically how human beings react to websites. So we took that and made it even better. However, in the future, it could be that we will flip to Gemini if they continue to evolve, or into Anthropic, or to something else, and we continuously evolve it. Claude just came out with a really nice improvement on the UX and coding front, so very much looking at that opportunity. Regarding your second question on product market fit, and just I think everybody here is in the startup field, right? But it's a really, really good question. And I will tell you, 4 startups in, I'm not sure I have a definitive answer to say this is the day that we've hit product market fit. I'm still trying to figure that one out. I think we decided to launch a product after we put it in front of a number of users, real users, not AI. And they said, this is providing enough value to me that I am planning to use it, and I'm willing to pay for it. It's not just, hey, Nitzan, you're a friend of mine, I don't want to insult you, so I'll say I'm going to use it, but rather I'm willing to pay for it. And after we pass a certain number of users that tell us that they're willing to pay for it, then we believe we've reached something that's good enough. But you're seeing now the product you just saw is iteration number 50. And that's over the past 6 months. So we launched this in January, and every week we're making it better and better and better based on customer feedback and based on AI feedback as well. So and if you go in 2 weeks from now, you're going to see a better product as well. Hopefully that's helpful, Subarto. I know it's
Yes.
not a definitive answer.
No. Thank you for answering the question. In that respect, I have another question. It's not a question, it's just for my own clarification. Basically, I want to understand is, see, so once you define yourself a great product fit to the market, then you have a venture capitalist who will be funding you for, or maybe funding you for another growth opportunity, or maybe if Gemini comes with a new product, new things, because they are what do I say? It's a huge corporation, have a lot of resources to come up with a new product. How do you see whether you will be pushed a little bit to the side, and you'll be asked to, hey, we have Gemini and you will be using Gemini thing on your platform, how this strategy is going to change? And that is where I see that I know you are trying to create value, but how are you going to extract value? Because once you start thinking, in the future, if Gemini takes over your ideas.
Yeah, so you're asking a really good question on defensibility and how do we build a moat around our company to defend from competitors and others, and even the platforms that we're using to come eat our lunch and say, oh, that's a nice idea, I'll do that. So there are a few ways to do it. The one is, in the world of AI, one way to do it is by having unique data that you can train the LLM and be better than whatever the public LLM is doing. So in our case, we happen to have collected over the past 5 years 1 million user studies, which I don't believe any other company in the world has a standard base of 1 million user studies. And that data is very, very unique and helps us create a moat. And we're collecting more and more of that data even. A second method we're using is patents. So we've had 6 patents granted to us, and we have 11 patents pending. So that's another way to create a moat. And a third way, interestingly enough, is to move really fast. So we're embedding ourselves right now into some very large companies, because this talk is going to be published. I will not mention companies, but multiple Fortune 500 companies and large, very, very large agencies that we have partnered with and are using this product. And our goal is that they are going to fall in love, use this product in such a way that it's very hard for them to rip it out and use a different one. Subrata, hopefully that was helpful. Thank you. Those were excellent questions. Roshini, please.
Thank you, by the way, for this session. Very, very informative and very insightful. Two questions for you. One is, when are you extending this to apps and beyond websites? And then second is, what kind of training data did you use? I don't know if you already went through that. I apologize, I joined a little late.
No problem at all. 2 great questions. So one, there's a way to use it in apps right now. So when you log in the second time, not the way I showed you through the WEVO.ai/take-a-pulse, but if you log in now the second time to it, to the app, just WEVO.ai, and then in the top corner there's login, you'll basically see, I'll show this just in case anybody does want to use it for apps or for websites that have not Figma prototypes. So you can, I'll say something about that in just a moment. Here, let me just share my screen again, because I stopped sharing. It is this screen, I think, over here. There we go. So the next time you log in, you're going to see this page over here. And if you take a picture of the app, a snapshot, you can upload the image, and then it'll analyze the image that way. So it won't go into the app, it'll just upload the image. This is a way to do mobile. Oh, and you change this to mobile. So that's desktop, that tells it that it's on mobile.
Got
And that's a
it.
way to do it. And if you want, you can do either a single page. We did an experiment with a single page. Or if you want to do a multiple pages, like
Multi-journey.
a journey, right? So
Yeah.
let's say somebody saw an ad and then they went to the app store and downloaded it, and then they saw these 3 screens of the mobile app and analyzed that whole thing, or here are 5 competitors and tell me the difference between them, or
Yeah.
any other thing you can imagine to do there. So
Are
that's the way to do it.
Are you planning on incorporating a marketplace specific insights?
Say more.
Meaning, are you targeting mainly this for the US marketplace, or are you looking to go beyond regions, right? To make it very specific based on how you're targeting.
So this is available now across Europe, Australia, South America, and parts of Asia. We didn't open it completely worldwide yet.
Okay.
And it supports European languages, 6 European languages plus English currently, but we're about to open another 135 languages soon, because there's applicability for this around the world, for sure. To your second question, we've trained it on over 1 million user studies. So think about, so these are interactions that we ask people to look at a website, go through a website, and then evaluate, tell us what they liked about it, what they didn't like about it, rate it on a whole lot of ratings of how valuable it was, how intuitive it was. And that's the information we trained it on.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you. Fantastic questions. Good. George, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just fascinated by what you've done here over the last 7 years. And really just curious about a couple of things. You mentioned about the data, and I wonder, you have a lot of data points that you can refer to, but what is the source, the main source of your data? That's number one question. And number two is about your patents. You talked about patents, and that's really important. So are you talking about patents on your algorithms or your processes or the actual website itself or the URL? I'm curious about that. And then I wonder how fast is fast. When you mentioned you have to move fast, how fast in this age of AI, how fast is fast? And then the last concern that I have, or question that I have, would be about your business model. I think you have like a freemium. You mentioned like a freemium model right now, and then you plan to sense the market to see whether you're going to charge more or less in the future. But thank you for indulging all my questions at once. Thank you.
George, how many hours do you have available tonight?
We'll go to 11 o'clock easily. So just keep going. Tell us everything.
I'm happy. I'm going to give you like a one-liner in each one of those because I know other people have questions, and there are like 2 more topics that I want to touch on, and then Todd and Susan are going to kick me out soon. So I want to give it no, you won't kick me out. No, I have the whole evening. Like, beware, I have the whole evening. Yeah,
we'll go to 11. So
I want to be respectful of people's time. There are 2 more topics that we just wanted to touch on, which is humans and AI and that interaction. And then there's the future of digital experiences. Just really quick touch on those topics. But to your questions, the patents have to do with the algorithms we're using, as well as the process of generating the insights. That's the one-liner on that. And the public available patents, you can, to your heart's content, you can read them because they're publicly available in the United States Patent Office. The 6 that are granted, the 11 that are pending, I don't believe are fully accessible yet. How fast is fast? So we talked about launching as fast as possible, and then iterating quickly and trying to reach adoption quickly. So WEVO, the company, exists for 6 years. You asked what data we trained on. For the past 6 years, we had a previous product that was called WEVO Pro, that took basically feedback from 120 people each time to evaluate a website. So we had a pool of about 60 million people around the world. And each time a company, let's say MasterCard is a client of ours, MasterCard would come to us and say, hey, we want to evaluate this credit card. Or MasterCard has 100 apps, over 100 apps. We want to feedback on this app. So we would find 120 people and we would send them to that app and they would give us tons of feedback and we would watch what they're doing and then give a nice report to MasterCard. That product was called WEVO Pro and was expensive, took like a week, sometimes more. And that's the data we're now using with customer approval to train these models of the AI that give similar insights in 5 minutes. That's how much the world has changed. Business model, we charge per seat. So the number of people in your company that are using this tool, with some details. Okay. Hopefully that very quick. So Brato, we'll do 2 more questions. We'll cover additional topics and then I'll open it up. But
yeah, Jan had her hand up.
Jan was first. Yes, Jan, please.
Thank you so much. Oh, I love your site. It's beautiful, just instant advisory.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
I put the site in there. So my question for you is that is your site, because you seems like giving out free for a short period of time, that we all know that the advice you're giving out once it's effective, then that's it, right? They're not even coming back. And then, how reliable your advice in a professional level, that how confident we are, and then to use your AI tool. I guess you already we already have the answer that you're so mature, has been business for like 6 or 5 years. So so how do you in this case that in the further of your business structure, were you able to providing some resources that are associated with your advice? In that case, then you drag your customer along with you. You make more money. Is that right?
Excellent business question. Excellent business question. So let me answer that at a few levels. One, if somebody used our website for free, for our service for free, and made a better experience for their customers, we're happy.
Right.
That's great. We made better experiences. The world is a better place, right? We did our little part in making the world a better place for somebody. So everything you did tonight is free. You didn't pay us anything. Enjoy it. Hopefully somebody we heard helped a non-for-profit organization and somebody got insights for their consultancy. That is fantastic. If that's the last time you want to use it, that is okay as well. That's fine. That's fine. We sell to companies. Companies pay us when they have when they want to continuously learn. So they believe that they want to continuously improve their website, when they are continuously releasing new products, when they are releasing new marketing campaigns. Coca-Cola comes up with a marketing campaign every, I don't know, few weeks. So does Nike. Or if they're going to new audiences, maybe they're going to a different segment of the population, maybe they're going to a new country, maybe they're going to a new region. For each one of those, they will run another WEVO. And furthermore, I'll tell you one of the things that astounded us. Companies came back and tell us, Nitzan, you're helping us accelerate innovation in our company. Okay. Because people that had crazy ideas would never propose them. Let's just say, I think you should pick pink polka dots all over the website and people are going to love it. If I suggested that, I may be laughed out of the room. However, if I put that into WEVO and WEVO gave me a 96, I now have the confidence to go to my boss and say, look, WEVO said that I would get a 96, meaning higher conversion. And I would be, very soon, I told you there's going to be benchmarking. I'm in the top top decile of all companies in our industry if we put pink polka dots on our website. Now, maybe it will work, maybe it won't, but at least they're going to try it. So it helps accelerate innovation and give people the power to do things that they wouldn't have done otherwise, because now they can evaluate it like that.
Right, right. That's wonderful. Thank you.
It's great. Thank you. That was a wonderful question. Kelly, go ahead. It's great questions. Got a vibe going here.
I've
Go ahead.
got probably an obvious question. Do you use
question.
WeVo to judge WeVo? I mean, do you look at your own website and how often are you iterating based upon the results?
What do you think is the answer to that question?
I think you probably do it, but I looked at your score, which would indicate it's fairly average. I think not average in like a ABC level, but I mean, I'm having so much fun playing on this thing. I've thrown it every website known to man, and you know, you're in that like 84, 86 or whatever that is level.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of recommendations there. I'm thinking, how often are you taking your own recommendations?
Yeah. So yes, we use both our products on our website, both the WeVo Pro and the WeVo Pulse, and we have iterated our website a few times. The score we're seeing is slightly different than the score you're seeing because we hone in the target audience, not to what the AI thinks that we're targeting. We have a slightly different target. So it knows that our product can be offered to all sizes of companies and a very, very broad range, and educators and all sorts of people, but we're very much targeted on a certain segment of the market and a very certain type of persona, because as a startup, we can't boil the ocean. It's not strategic. So the system does not know business strategy very well. We never trained it on business strategy, and it doesn't know our business strategy. We didn't tell it. So the way we're informing it is we're telling it to go after a very specific persona, which is the persona we want to focus on. And in that persona, our website does really well, like very high.
So it's really the key is the personas, right? I mean, this is because I just accepted the personas on every company. I've got several websites of different companies, and I was kind of laughing when I was reading because I want to send it to my folks because I think you're spot on. But the key obviously is getting the right persona for what you're trying to accomplish.
That's exactly right.
How do you?
It will give you a different persona. Is an output of the system, but it's also the input to the system, and it allows you to. We did in kind of like a nifty way over there that we said most people we just want it to be easy, so we turn the output directly into the input. But if you want to change it, you just do customized persona and you put in the persona you want.
Yeah, but I don't mean that question to be flip. I love this thing. I'm having so much fun with it, and I've found that one of the websites that we're involved with is not as bad as I thought. So I like that.
Very good, very good, awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much for that feedback. I really appreciate it. And Todd did well. He told me this group would enjoy it and would be very good for a joint experiment and conversation. So I'm very glad to hear that.
I follow up on that. How do you? I mean, it almost feels like, you know, we've got people who are really good at prompts and prompt engineering and AI. With this, you've got to be really good at persona engineering. And I would think, how do you do that? How do you modify your personas? Does it just take iteration after iteration and practice after practice, or?
It is. So part of the training data that we gave it was a lot of information on the people that gave the feedback. So when we were collecting the user studies that I mentioned earlier, the 1 million user studies, we have a lot of information about those people. So fortunately or unfortunately, the AI models, the typical ones that, you know, Gemini and OpenAI and Anthropic and others, they have some information about the people that wrote the content that was fed into them, but not tons of information. We do have tons of information about the people because they give it to us voluntarily. We pay them for it. So we're very rich on the persona side.
Good stuff. Are you is it appropriate for me to ask, are you fundraising? Where are you in your business, in your journey?
We are. It's just a little bit more actually before we go over to cash flow positive. But yeah, we are fundraising. Not for this call. If you are interested in that, let me know later. This call is an educational, conversational conversation, so I will not go deep into that space. But if you are interested, let me know. I'll post. My email is nitzan@wevo.ai, and take it from there.
Thank you. We're the startup club, so we always ask that question.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Legit. Thank you. Appreciate that, Kelly. Thank you. Good. So I'm going to go to two very quick topics, and then I will not be insulted if anybody needs to leave, as it is past 9 o'clock. But I'm happy to stay on for longer. So two more topics I just wanted to touch on in our conversation today. One is the question that comes up again and again in popular science and papers on is this replacing the jobs of humans? And I don't know what's going to happen 10 years from now. I don't know what's going to happen 2 years from now. But at this point, we are not seeing that replacement. At this point, and you've probably heard this before, what we are seeing is people that are using AI are going to take the jobs away from people that are not using AI. And Susan was talking about this earlier in a talk that she gave in Cameroon, was it? Cameroon. To a very similar point, but the speed and the power that you have when you're using tools like this, and WEVO is just one tool. I gave you the example because I can explain how it works and all of that. But there are other tools like WEVO. And so many are evolving, and Figma is doing cool stuff, and Adobe is doing cool stuff. And the power that you have if you are using tools like this just makes you superhuman. But it will not, this does not replace the job of the designer. The designer still has to design the new website. Somebody still has to write the copy, the text on the website. Somebody still has to understand the business strategy. I just told you earlier, right? When we use it knowing our business strategy, and we use it in a different way than what you're seeing here. So the human, this is not replacing directly humans. Again, I can't tell you what's going to happen 2-3 years from now, because we are working on a version of this that does generate new websites based on the recommendation. But then again, still the human will have to decide if to implement that, if that's right for their strategy or not. So that's just a thought on humans and AI. And as Susan said very wisely, I can't emphasize enough how important it is to try out these tools like you tried them out tonight. I try like an apple a day, an AI tool a day. I don't succeed every day, but I try an AI tool a day just to see where the market is and where it's heading, because this is moving so darn fast. Second topic, just to touch on is where is this headed? We are definitely seeing a lot of progress in AIs generating designs and generating code. Claude in their 3.5, just recently by Anthropic, put out a version that does really nice work on taking a wireframe. So just basically take a pen to paper, draw a few things, feed it, and it'll create a really nice design out of it. And write the code for you, so you can publish that fairly easily. Company called Wix that always generated websites. Now they're doing it with AI. Really cool stuff. Multiple solutions out there, and even GPT can create the code for it. Design's not doing so well, but hey, according to Sam Altman, GPT-5 is going to be much better. So we can wait for that to come out. Now, again, what those companies aren't doing yet is evaluating it and telling how good it is, but it is suggesting, and that's going to be left for tools that either evaluate, or for a human to say this is good or bad, and this fits the strategy or not the strategy. But I do believe a year from now, 2 years from now, we'll see a lot of digital experience that are generated by AI, and with tight collaboration with designers. And again, just the role of the designer is going to change. The role of the developer is going to change and evolve. But I don't foresee a mass displacement. It's just an acceleration of the pace that we work at and the innovation that we can drive at, just using a calculator instead of an abacus kind of analogy. Okay, that concludes kind of like our thoughts. Yeah, I think those are the main things. Oh, I will share with you two last slides actually. One is, where can you use this? Sometimes in the world of AI, it's really just about our imagination. So I'll share with you where people have been using this on live websites. That's what you've been experimenting with today. On pre-live, so when you have a concept, an idea, a prototype, or just messaging, you can upload an email to this. It'll evaluate the email as well. If you want to compare and evaluate multiple ideas that you have, concepts that you have for a new product, for a new startup, right? It's really cool. Competitors, and anytime you want instant. And then if you want to reach out to me with any further questions, I'm going to stick around here. But if you do have questions, my email is nitzan@wevo.ai. I live in Boston. Always happy to meet up for coffee and have a chat with a fellow entrepreneur. Susan, take it away.
This is just wonderful, incredible. I don't know if you can see the chat. It's super fun. Like, there's a new name for you called rabbithole.ai from Kelly.
Love it.
And then Divya saying, would love to see the list of all the AI tools you've tested. That I too would love to see that. And then a question for you. So, because I was looking at your price, you know, as a bootstrapped startup, a little steep, but so does it remember all your stuff, right? Does your data, like if I just did an evaluation of our website, it was great, spot on, all the stuff that we need to work on. So does your product remember the company? So if I go in and then start doing email evaluations, like you said, is it also looking at all the scores that it's given us already, or how does that work?
It will, until you tell it to forget, it will remember. It'll give you a list on your left-hand side of the panel. It'll give you a list of all the previous ones you've done, so you can track yourself the progress. If you're asking if it's learning on those, it's not learning on your data.
Okay.
So we do not learn from the pulses that we run. We have a different pool of information that we go to in order to teach this system new tricks. But it's not on your, we do not learn from the studies that you're running. We don't use that information. If you tell the system to forget it, it will forget it ever ran them, because privacy is really important in this world. And Susan, if the price starts like really cheap, but if you want it, people at high places, I can give it to you for free. Like, don't worry about it.
Awesome.
I want you to enjoy it and get good stuff out of it. This was a nice experience today, and I'm not willing to talk prices. This is a tool, an example, and I chose it because I know the inner workings of it. But you can get it for free. Don't worry about it. Free and friends. Sure. Victor, go ahead, please.
I'm sorry. I think Garrett was ahead of me.
Okay, sorry. I apologize for not being able to track. Garrett, go ahead.
Quite all right.
Thank you. I was curious what your stance is. Do you consider your Pro as a premium version of Pulse, given that it's using humans and real experience? Do you is that how you view it, or do you think Pulse is, light years better than Pro?
It's a really good question. So I will say two things. Each product has its advantages. The AI has its advantages, and the feedback from human has its advantages. The advantages of the AI is, one, that it's very, very fast. 5 minutes. The human feedback takes a week. It can take up to a week. And the second advantage is that it actually gives recommendations that are typically spot on. The human product doesn't give recommendations, it just gives insights on what are the problems. It doesn't tell you what to do better necessarily. But having said all of that, the pro product is real human beings. And that is what is training the AI. So the gold standard is human feedback, and the AI is all being trained to mimic human feedback. So from that perspective, that is the superior source of truth that we are using.
I agree with that.
Yeah, does that make sense? So the human decides what's good or bad, and the AI is trying to emulate the human.
Definitely. Yeah, I agree with that. I had a second follow-up question. By the way, the tool is really awesome. I know everyone's saying that. I'm probably a broke record player right now, but it's really helpful.
Thank you. After 6 years of work, I still appreciate hearing it every time again, and the team does as well.
Cool. So the question I had was, when it's getting this score and it tells you the likes and the dislikes, is it using the same formula, the same rubric that every time, or is it looking specifically for the dislikes? So let's say I go and fix a dislike that's on here and I go and test it again. Is it gonna kind of give me a new dislike because it's not found yet? Like, is it looking for dislikes to give me, or is it possible to get a perfect score on your site based off of the rubric that you have? Like, how's that part work?
So this AI believes in the theory of continuous and lifelong improvement, which is to say, continue to improve it, your website, and it will continue to try and find ways to improve it further. The score range is between 60 to 100, and give or take, it's a bell curve. So there are very few companies that get a 98, 100, very few, and there are very few that also get a 60. So it's not a straight line. We designed it that way because that's how the world works.
I figured.
Yeah. And in I think I mentioned this, in another few weeks, we're releasing an upgrade to this that'll come with the product, which is a benchmarking tool. So you'll actually be able, that'll be much more telling, because it'll tell you where are you versus the competitors in that industry, in the product that you're in. So you know, are you bottom quartile, top decile, where you are. Because you can be getting an 80, but all your competitors are getting a 70. So you're actually doing great.
Right.
So we're going to update that in the next few weeks. My head of engineering will kill me if I'll say a date publicly, so I won't. Next few weeks.
No worries. Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Hey, Nitzan, before we go to Victor, Maggie put in the Zoom chat, how does the tool prevent bias? And I think that's a good question.
Ooh, that's a very good question. So AI tools inherently have bias because they were trained on biased data, and we fine-tuned our model on OpenAI, and OpenAI has bias. So a few things are going on there. First of all, OpenAI is aware of this, and OpenAI tries to correct for bias. So they've taken their model and they have this team. I know a couple of people actually on that team that try to correct for that. And they've done some, I'm not going to give them marks, but they've done some very nifty work on that front to try to pull that out. We too, on top of that, because we fine-tuned the model, are doing work to try and pull that out. But I am not in a position to say that it is biasless. It may have, and that's why I always say anything you take from this tool or any other AI tool should pass it through your personal evaluation and see how you judge it. This is not a tool that you let loose and do all the changes on your website. You have to still evaluate it. It's an aid. It's a smart aid, but it's an aid. It's an intern. It's a assistant to you. And you have the ultimate decision of what you think is right or wrong to do. It's a great question. I think it's Victor next. But
Victor, then Donna. Yep.
Yes, thank you, Nitzan, for presenting this. This one is pretty intriguing. And congratulations on being where you are at this point with this. I was wondering, in the process of gathering your data, you mentioned that you collect a lot of information about the people providing their feedback. Did you purposefully include, exclude, discard, disregard, or even weigh the input that came from people who may have identified as a web designer or a customer experience expert?
Good question. I stand to be corrected by my team, but to the best of my knowledge, we did not give weight to that. I do know for a fact that the number of web designers in our data set is relatively very, very small. But because most of our companies are not looking for web designers, I don't know, again, off the top of my head, think of too many of our clients that target web designers. So we wouldn't be searching for web designers. But yeah, I can tell you, like, I know of multiple holes that we have in our training set. Like, we did not get to 8 billion people. So we do have holes in our training set.
Right. And you know, if it's
one of the reasons why we don't sell this product in certain geographies, because we just don't have enough data about that.
Sure. And if it's a few in a million, it's not going to be relevant in any case.
Exactly right.
I just wondered how you would have addressed that aspect of it. The other question, if you don't mind, you talked about 2 of your ventures out of 4, I think you said. I'm wondering if your other 2 are in this realm of data or data-oriented products or something different, and whether they are or not, I'm wondering if your customer journey, got the customer in the mind, your entrepreneur's journey is any different on this one because of the pace of the evolution of AI and keeping up with staying on the forefront with what you've built?
Yes and yes. So previous, I already mentioned earlier, I didn't start Skype, but I joined Skype early. Phenomenal experience. Lived in London during that time. And did another startup, and the most recent startup was Deep UI, which was in the space of user experience. I will say that the pace in the past year and a half, 18 months, is unprecedented to the pace of change that we had to deal with before. We rewrote entire chunks of our product 3 times already, because it's just the technology changed so much in the past 18 months that we just had to start from scratch and rewrite it. That did not happen to me in my previous startups that I was involved in. Like the fundamental language was fairly stable. So things from that perspective, business wise is also, like, the landscape around us is changing very, very fast. I don't recall a time in which so many companies were simultaneously launching so many new products at the same time. I pride myself in reading a lot. I cannot keep up with half of the stuff that I think I should read, just because the number of new solutions that are being offered, features, everybody is doing AI. A lot of it is not good. A lot of it will be good after they iterate on it 5 times. But there's definitely, I think we're in an unprecedented time of speed of change. And I can only hope that many of those technologies and advancements will be for the betterment of mankind and deliver better experiences. Unfortunately, technology has had many promises in the past that I think have not manifested. Social media being one of them, with many dangers that we're still learning about what that is doing to kids, and uncontrolled. And I hope this iteration is going to bring a lot more good than bad, but still unknown.
Yeah,
Still
it
unknown.
seems like a lot of good. And just one last aspect, if you would indulge me, please.
Please.
The question about AI generated content. You mentioned that your product will generate a website, will generate code. Your typical client seems to be someone who's using it for their own commercial purposes, but not commercializing specifically the output of the AI. How do you feel about the entanglements and all of that subject of who owns what, who can copyright what, and as of current legislation, let's say in the US, to narrow the question? What are your thoughts on that aspect?
Victor, good question, and I don't know I have the full breadth of figuring out the entire legalese of it. So I'm going to hold an opinion on that. But we are here, I will say the following general statement. We are here to serve our clients, to make their life easier. We are very, very focused in our company on three main values. The one is better together. We learn together, we grow together, we help each other out. The second one is customer first. So whatever we do, we're doing in order for the betterment of our customers, and we're here to serve them and make them successful. And there's a reason why the better together is before the customer first, even though that's a conundrum, because kind of like the oxygen safety thing, when you fly, put on an oxygen mask before you help the person.
Got it as soon as you said it.
Yeah, right. If your team isn't in a good place, they're never going to be able to help the customers. And the third is continuous learning, which I believe now more than ever before is critical. We have to continuously learn. When we were setting up this call, I think in minute minus one of this call, we were talking about the government of Singapore that is offering free courses for anybody above the age of 40 in AI, basically retraining the population. So important, so important. Thank you, Victor. Great.
And thank you so much.
Pleasure. Thank you for this opportunity.
Donna's got the last question, and then I guess we'll wrap it after that. So Donna.
Well, thank you. Yeah, you've answered some of my questions as I got up here, but I just got two left. One is, so I'm a law firm, and it didn't really like the fact that I can't accept confidential information on my website. I tell people not to send it because of potential conflict. So I don't know if you've ever just come across a legal firm, and I'm wondering if I get them to put in the information first, and then before they push submit, tell them about the confidentiality thing like they do on a banking machine. Or do you have any thoughts on that? Because obviously the user doesn't like it. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe it doesn't apply to my law firm. Do you have a thought on that?
Donna, I would have to dive into it in a bigger way to have a thought, but I have a way for you to get to that answer. Go to the chat function and ask the WEVO.ai that exact question and see what it says.
Okay, and the other thing, see if you can give me an explanation for this. It said to add a meet the team section, and I have a meet the team section, and like that just seems kind of like odd. Is that a little bit odd?
That is a little bit odd.
It says with attorney profiles, we don't use the word attorney here, so that's why I'm wondering if it was a cross-border issue, because I'm in Canada.
Okay. So a few things over there. One, as said earlier, as anything from an AI, you need to judge it. It'll give you a lot to ideas. You have to decide if those ideas are right or wrong for you. Two,
very good.
That's great. I'm very happy to hear that. Two, again, in the chat section, you could provide and say, hey, we're in Canada. Would you change any of the recommendations given that information? Or in the personas, you can customize the persona and say, I'm targeting only people that live in Canada. So that would give different answers. So the system doesn't know that if you don't tell it. And yeah, I'll just wrap it up by saying the chat is a very, very powerful section of this, that if you have additional questions, go for it over there. get to tremendous insights. I do want to summarize by saying thank you, Todd, Susan, again for this wonderful opportunity. Thank you, everybody, for asking such thoughtful questions. I very much enjoyed the conversation and did achieve my goal of learning new things here tonight. So thank you for that. I hope this was a good experience. If you want to use it, go ahead. If you have any further questions, feel free to reach out to me. Always happy to engage in a good conversation and learn more. Todd, Susan, over to you.
Susan.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you so much. I mean, you can tell this was very, very fun and very apropos to this group that you had us actually use it and ask you questions about it. That was great. And also, normally we ask if we can contact you, so you've answered that. And then our last question, official question to you is there anything that we can do to help you beyond the experience today?
Oh, wow. Thank you. Appreciate it. I was not expecting that question. I would say first and foremost, spread the word. If there's anybody you think that could benefit from using WeVo, if they're a designer or a marketer or work in a digital agency, tell them about it. Say, hey, heard about this cool tool? Go to WeVo.ai/take-a-pulse. Try it out for yourself. So spread the word. We want to get this in the hands of as many people as possible so they can benefit from it and improve the experiences. And two, I wasn't planning to, but I was asked earlier, it was by Kelly, on investment. We are doing a small follow-on investment. So if you do know of it, we're seed. We're a seed stage company. I know that sounds strange, but we are a seed stage company. So if you do know angel investors, we're looking just a little bit more to top up what we have now, and that's it. Off to the races after that. That's about it. Thank you, Susan, for asking. That's very kind of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks,
Awesome.
Susan.
Wonderful.
So, Nitzan, I'm going to end the recording now. We're going to stick around for some overtime. Lastly, next week, our very own HBAPer, Pedro David Espinoza, will be joining us to talk about his new book, The Real ROI Return on Inclusion. So please come again next week, same bat channel, same bat time, same Zoom link. Nitzan, this was a pleasure. Thank you. It was a real honor meeting you in Boston at the D-Cubed event. Thank you for coming and presenting this stuff tonight. This is really special technology. You absolutely have a great moat with the data. This is beautiful. Thank you for coming, and please stick around for some overtime. And I'm going to stop the recording now.